All right, everyone, please be seated. I hope you all had a nice lunch. All right, State, it was your witness.
Yes, ma'am. And before the break, the state had moved to introduce
127.
evidence item 127. I think it's 126C, 126D, and 126E. But that's your.
I thought 26.
126,
126.
D and E have already been
They're in.
admitted.
Okay, and you were looking at 127.
Yes.
Your Honor, over the course of the break, withdraw my motion to introduce 127, simply have it marked, and we will proceed.
Thank you.
Detective Hines, before lunch break, you previously testified that while you were dealing with the clerk and manager of the video at 8558 Keegan, that you observed a discrepancy on the time clock. Yes. Video. Did you ever go back there in later days to try and document and work out that discrepancy?
Yes, sir.
And did you have CSI or someone come along with photograph and document your efforts to explain the time discrepancy?
Yes.
Now approach, Your Honor.
Yes.
I'm showing you what has been marked as state's exhibits numbers 158 through 166 for identification. What are states 158 through 166 for identification?
These are pictures of the exterior of 8558 and also pictures of the interior leading up to the video system.
And the video system, is that out on display in the store proper, or is it in an office?
It's in an office.
And is that where the monitor is that allowed you to see the video in question?
Yes.
And do states exhibits 158 through 166 for identification fairly and accurately reflect what is shown in them? The exterior of the store, the interior of the store, the office where the computer monitor is that you saw the video on, and your efforts to document the time difference?
Yes.
Move to introduce 158 through 166 into evidence. I tender 158 through 166 to the defense for inspection.
Thank you. Thank you. Now I can see.
What's better? Yes. Oh, geez. Sorry. Sorry. Is this the quick start? Yes. Okay.
This time, Judge, I don't have any objection to 58, 59, 60, and 66, but at this time, object to 62, excuse me, let me get them in order. 61, 62, 63, 64, and 65 to relevance. And I can approach and give these to the court.
All right, State's Exhibit number 158 is admitted. Number 159 is admitted. Number 160 is admitted. And if council could approach with 161, 162, 163, 164, and 165.
So these four. no
They're
objection.
in. These are in.
All right, defense, the court's understanding is you were drawing your objection to 160, Exhibit 161, is that correct?
Yes, Judge.
All right, 161, then will be admitted. Objections to 162, 163, 164, 165 is overruled. And those exhibits 162, 163, 164, 165 are admitted into evidence. No, I said 161. These are the following items that have been admitted. 158, 159, 160, 161, 162, 163, 164, and 165. The court is not in receipt of an exhibit 166.
And
That's, I don't have no objection to 166 either. Judge.
All right, and 166 is admitted.
email publisher.
Yes.
Already on.
Yes.
Um, stupidly labeled these out of order. I'm showing what is 166. And detective, where's this location again?
That is 8558 Ely.
158. Same place.
Yes,
And what are we looking at here at 159?
that is the entrance to the back office where access to the video surveillance monitoring.
Okay, and 160.
That is the actual video surveillance monitor.
Okay, whose hand is that to the lower left corner holding the cell phone?
That's my hand.
Okay, and the computer desktop monitor, it's there in front of the keyboard. And what is that?
That is where the store surveillance system is monitored.
Okay, and does that show all angles and cameras?
That were available at the time.
Okay, and this area, this portion here, is there any information in that blue portion that was on that display that was relevant to your investigation?
The date and the time.
Date and time of what?
The date and time that the video surveillance monitor has.
Okay. And States Exhibit 161. So what are you? What are you showing? What are you trying to demonstrate here on States 161?
What I'm trying to demonstrate is that the video system is off by 24 hours and 19 minutes.
Okay, are you able to? And so if I'm looking at the desktop computer,
Yes,
the monitor, what day is that showing?
it's showing October 27th, 10:49 and 01.
Okay, and that is your hand holding the cell phone?
Yes, sir.
And can you see the date displayed on your cell phone?
It's kind of blurry right now. I think maybe you're zooming in a little too far.
Okay, try to get the autofocus. Better yet. I'll show you up close and personal. What is the date and time on your cell phone?
It's more like it's 11:08 and it's October 28th.
Okay. And curious, the display on your cell phone, the video, is the video monitoring system, is it 24-hour clock time or is it, 12 a.m., 12 noon clock time? How does that display?
Well, when it says 10:49, it looks like it may be standard time versus 24-hour time.
Okay, but from your experience, when it gets past 12 noon, then how does it read?
If it went past 12 noon, it would be 12 something.
But on the timestamp of the video, is it 12 or is it 13 something, 14 something, 15 something?
It's I'm not sure I understand the question.
I'm saying the timestamp on the video,
Uh-huh.
in your recollection, is it in conventional 0001?
Oh, okay, the actual video footage itself?
Yes, sir.
It's in what I would call military time.
And what does that mean?
It starts at 1 in the morning and counts through 24.
Check. So 1 o'clock, right now, we are in court at 1:20 p.m.
Yes,
In my previous life, we're here at 13:21 in some seconds.
yes,
We're talking the same time, correct?
yes, sir.
And so the timestamp on the video is in military 24-hour time.
Yes,
But from its master complaint, it is still off, at least by a day,
yes.
24 hours,
Mhm.
and some amount of minutes, correct?
That's correct.
Is that why you're using your phone to hold up and compare to the video system?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then my question was, the video system shows hours,
Mhm.
minutes, and seconds, yes or no?
Yes, that's correct.
Does your phone show hours, minutes, and seconds?
No.
So there may be between these two some discrepancy in terms of seconds.
Yes, sir.
State's exhibit and the time on the video, again, that date and time. Go read October 27th, 10:49 and 01 seconds, correct?
Yes.
In your cell phone says 11:08 and your testimony is at the 28th.
28th, October 28th, yes.
State's exhibit 162. What is the time stamp on the system?
10:49:03.
Okay, it's advanced 2 seconds. And you're still at 11:08, correct?
Yes, sir.
And we don't know how many seconds, correct?
That's correct.
Showing now State's exhibit 163. What time is on the video?
10:49:05.
So it advanced another 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I know it's hard to see, but can you make out from the outline what time is on your cell phone?
11:08.
State's exhibit 164. What time is on the computer system?
10:49:13.
So now it advanced 8 seconds.
Yes.
And what time is on your cell phone?
11:08.
And now State's exhibit 165. What time is on the cell phone?
11:09.
No, I'm sorry, on the video.
The video is 10:49:26.
So we advanced 13 seconds after the previous, correct?
Yes, sir. From 13 to
And
26.
your cell phone shows what time?
11:09.
So we know, and again, and it's clearly October 28th.
Yes.
So the video itself is 24 hours slow.
Mhm.
And between the 11:09, the 11:09 and 10:49, how many minutes off is that?
About 20. Give or
Almost
take a few
20
seconds, almost 20 minutes.
Or maybe 19
19
and,
minutes and some seconds.
right? And that's whole true. So to accurately look at the video, and why was that important to your investigation to capture the time discrepancy between the video and real time? Why was that important?
Because the store video was off, I needed to know how much time to subtract in order to find the video footage that I was looking for.
Okay. And that led you to the video that you showed Brenda Boyd, the right portion.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And if you remember the Wood Forest Bank records, what number is Wood Forest Bank? This is 54, 154A. And I'm showing you what is already admitted evidence is 154A. So the Wood Forest Bank records. When the Wood Forest Bank records reflect the card ending in 0373, what time was it used at this Hebner address on October 21st?
3:07:09 p.m.
And the second attempt and entry is at what time?
3:07 and 49 p.m.
Okay. And so then logically, if you had video of those attempts, it would be October the 20th, 19 minutes before these posted times.
19 minutes before those posted times, yes.
You also testified that you obtained bank records of Jpmorgan Chase for the defendant's account.
Yes,
Can I ask you, was that based as a result of your investigation and the interview he gave on October the 27th?
it was based on one of his interviews, yes, sir.
If you would take a moment. Are you able to determine any entry or any use of the defendant's debit card bank records at any time? Was it used at any time on October the 21st, 2015?
Yes, sir, I believe I see 3 entries on October 20, or 4 entries.
Did any of them reflect being used at 8558 Keaton?
No,
Why was that important to your investigation?
according to statement,
Those entries from October 21st. It's bad, but I actually can see it better up on the screen than standing right in front of it. Keep on living. So the column that shows the date time frame,
yes,
that's this column here, or is it over to the right?
that problem.
This one here.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm looking at 2015, October 10th. There we go, October 21st. October 21st, we see a deposit. See a McDonald's, Boost Mobile, Centronics, CCS. And now we're into October 22nd. Is that what you see?
Yes, sir, that's what I said.
Okay. And so do you see any entry on October 21st for 8558 Heavener Road, quick stuff, anything like that?
No,
and of the video that was obtained. Showing you what is marked as State's Exhibit number 157A. Previously had and marked 157 and 157A.
Yes.
What is 157A?
157A is a conversion copy of the store video.
Okay. And how do you know it's a complete and accurate conversion copy of the store video?
Because I put my initial on.
And when you met with, again, Brenda Boyd,
Yes.
showed a video, is 157A contain the video that you showed her?
Yes.
States 4 and 5. Yes. Okay. In a previous hearing on this matter, after Detective Richards conducted the first interview with the defendant on October 27, 2015, correct?
Yes.
Did you yourself ever have any interviews with the defendant?
Yes, sir.
How many?
2 more.
And what days did you interview him?
November 6, 2015.
And again, last
Again, on March 1st of 2016.
so November 6, 2015.
Yes.
Okay. And in a previous hearing under this matter, in preparation for those hearings, did you get a chance to look at your own interviews of the defendant from November the 6th, 2015 and March the 1st, 2016?
Yes, sir, I did.
I'm showing you what has been marked as State's Exhibits number 6 and 8. Do you recognize State's Exhibits 6 and 8?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what is State's Exhibit 6?
That's the second interview, or November 6th, or 6th November 2015.
Okay, and it's one you conducted with
Yes.
the defendant.
Mhm.
And what is State's Exhibit number 8?
It's interview conducted on March 1st of 16.
Okay, and from your review and preparation, did both 6 and 8 fairly and accurately reflect the interview that you conducted with the defendant on November 6, 2015, which is State's Exhibit 6 for identification, and on March the 1st, 2016, which is State's Exhibit 8 for identification?
Yes.
On either of the interviews, how many people were recorded on camera? Is it just you and the defendant both times?
I think there may have been another detective come in. I'm not 100% certain on the November 6th. I'm not 100% sure.
No further questions. I will, apologies to the court. And ultimately, did you develop sufficient probable cause to arrest anyone for the case that we're here for today?
No objection, that calls for legal conclusion and invades the province of the jury.
Nobody overruled.
Thank you.
Could you repeat the question?
Did you eventually develop sufficient probable cause to arrest anyone for the case you're sitting here and testifying for today?
Yes, sir.
And who did you arrest?
I arrested the defendant, R.C. Thurs.
And what did you arrest him for?
Capital murder with the aggravated sexual assault component.
Okay. You've been a homicide detective and investigator for how long, detective?
14 years.
Okay. Over the course of that time, have you gained familiarity with Texas's definition of a deadly weapon?
Yes.
Okay. In your experience, can hands, feet, fists, body part, can those be used at and considered to be deadly weapons?
Yes, sir, depending on the circumstances.
After you filed in a case and arrested the defendant in capital murder, did you have any subsequent encounters with anyone else that you identified in your investigation? Did you ever talk to or identify David Rocha?
Yes, sir, I talked to David Rocha briefly after he was apprehended on the warrant I had secured back in 2015.
When did you talk to him?
It would have been June of this year,
June of 2021.
June of 2021, yes.
You interviewed him as well.
Yes,
Okay. So aside from the investigation, which you started that the day of, and apparently your investigation extended into June of this year, 2021, did you have anything else to do with this matter, with this case?
other than submitting evidence to the crime lab and establishing probable cause.
Then I have no further questions for Your Honor, and I will pass the witness.
Defense?
So David Rocha was, as soon as he used her credit card, he went on the run for 5 years, 6 years.
Yes, sir.
And when he came back, you gave him a polygraph, which he failed.
Objection, Your Honor.
Let's see.
And we approach.
Yes. right, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna take a 10-minute break. So if I can have everyone back, probably wind up outside by close to 2 p.m. Okay, remember, you've heard some evidence. Don't discuss it amongst yourselves. All right, everyone, please rise for the jury. Okay. Yes. All right, everyone, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, the jury is to disregard the last question regarding any polygraphs. Does everyone understand? Thank you. All right, defense.
As a detective, you have lots of tools available to you to help you to determine whether or not someone is being truthful, correct?
Yes, sir.
And did you use some of, without telling me which tools, did you use some types of tools or devices or instruments to determine the credibility, if any, of David Rocha?
Objection, Your Honor. Devices or instruments, again, it's coming close to evading the court's ruling on the previous matter and what the jury's
All right,
instructed.
that will be sustained.
After interviewing him or having him interviewed, specifically regarding his culpability to this offense, did you form an opinion as to his truthfulness or his honesty or dishonesty regarding his answers about his involvement in this case?
Yes, sir.
And did you find him to be honest or dishonest?
And my opinion, he was dishonest.
And he wasn't the only one, was he? There were other people that used the cards, weren't there? Frank Hernandez?
Yes, sir.
And then you talked about Barnett. He was involved with Rocha, wasn't he? And Hernandez.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Barnett, when you were discussing with him, did you have the ability to determine whether or not he was honest or dishonest with you about his involvement in this mess?
Yeah, he was dishonest.
Now, and there you got lots of leads on this, did you not?
Yes, sir.
There was a cell phone video alleged to have been in existence somewhere.
Yes, sir.
And what steps did you take to get that cell phone video?
I tried to find and interview all the people who allegedly had seen the cell phone video, and I was not able to locate it.
And you knew from talking to Annette Steele, there had been suspicious males around that area, correct?
Is that the apartment manager?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yes, sir.
And you knew from speaking to Ms. Bustos that there was an individual, I think his name was CJ, that Paula was scared of. You remember that?
I don't recall that, sir.
Okay.
CJ?
I think that was his initials. Let me. I'll come back. I'll come back to that part when I find it in a minute. Now, regarding the cards, as I understand it, Mr. Curtis, your investigation provided to you information Mr. Curtis already knew the PIN numbers to the cards prior to this, correct?
That's what I was told by family.
Okay. Well, then it seems like when you're showing these bank records and it says, PIN attempt invalid, if he knew the PIN numbers before that day, So how do you explain that?
I don't know that he ever knew the pin numbers. That's
I
just
thought
what the
Barbara
family-
told you that. I'm sorry.
Sir,
I thought Paula's daughter informed you. Your report indicates that she told you they already had the PIN numbers.
yes, they told me that, but I have no way of knowing if he has or not.
And this Nombrano guy, does this surprise you to know that he lived with Paula Boyd off and on? Was he honest with you about that?
I would have to watch his full interview to answer that question.
Now, you have the clock thing on the videos y'all talked about. Is the clock just fast or slow, or is it precisely 19 minutes and change fast or slow?
Well, it depends on what time you're approaching it from.
Right,
You
so-
have to- there's a 19-minute variance. Well, there's a 24-hour and a 19 minutes and some seconds variance in the time.
And as you watch the clock over like an hour period, is it consistently that, or did you go to the trouble to watch it longer than that 1 minute to determine whether the internal clock was actually fast or slow?
No, I did not watch it longer than that time. That I was
Would you agree with me that if the clock was fast or slow, the 19-minute interval would change over time?
I wouldn't know that, sir. I'm not that familiar with the video system. And
Now, did you get videos of all the suspicious transactions that were used on those cards?
all the ones that I was made aware of, yes, sir.
And Mr. Harris asked you this morning, he kind of rehashed yesterday with you. And it's my understanding he was asking you about how you identified Ms. Boyd, right?
Yes, sir.
And it was actually easy because the firemen knew who Ms. Boyd was, didn't they?
I don't recall talking to a fireman.
Okay, so the firemen that said they recognized her didn't tell anybody at the scene, we know who this is?
I don't recall that, sir.
Okay. And you didn't think at the time, based on your initial observations, or you weren't confident that a malicious act had occurred, correct?
That's correct.
So you didn't do a search of the house per se, did you?
No, not necessarily a search, just a general overall view.
And you took some pictures of what you thought were things that might be helpful in the future.
Yes.
Not you took the
Now,
pictures,
I didn't take the crime scene.
Correct. you had them taken.
Yes, sir.
But you didn't search the closets or under the beds or anything like that.
I don't recall going that in depth.
So when Mr. Harris asked you, did you find a purse or a wallet? Unless it was sitting out in the open, you didn't look for it, correct?
I would say that's correct. Yes.
Okay. And then from my understanding is, Mr. Harris said, you secured the scene, but what you did was just, you asked the apartment manager to lock up when y'all left?
Yes, sir. I asked him to lock the door and not open it until he heard from me.
And were you there when he locked up?
Yes, sir. I was standing right beside.
So your prosecution guide says, and we've kind of talked about the fact now there were multiple people that lied to you, but David Rocha, dishonest, Frank Hernandez, and dishonest, and not only dishonest, they both are involved in this. You have ruled that they both used the cards, correct?
Frank Hernandez and David Roach. Yes, sir.
Yes. And Barnett was involved with those two, correct?
That's correct, sir.
And Bianca Dunn is involved with those two.
Yes, sir. She was the girlfriend of Frank Hernandez.
And then not only did he have a girlfriend, he also had what do we call it, Sancho, where he had Megan Martinez.
Yes, sir.
And then what about Scott Perez? What can you tell me about Scott Perez?
He was a person that allegedly had seen the murder of Miss Boyd on a cell phone video. And once I was able to find him and interview him, I do remember him talking about it, but he didn't know where the video was or who had the phone.
And your report indicates there was a suspicious resident in number 204. You remember that person?
Okay, what is that? What page is that?
Oh. It's in your prosecution guide. I didn't write page numbers down.
Oh, okay.
You remember him talking to him about the guy who lived in 204?
Yeah, I believe Mr. Miguel Rosales lived in 204.
Now, is that the guy that said, you know, as I recall, something like, he had a key to the apartment and she still got in hot, or I mean, one of the guys says, you know, that she still gets his motor running or something. Remember that?
Objection, Your Honor, from the report and the phrasing counsel was totally mischaracterizing it. It was just,
What's,
Give me 1 second, Judge. You remember talking to an individual that expressed some interest in Ms. Boyd?
I don't recall who that could be, sir.
I didn't write his name down. Okay. Now, there was also some discussion about a calendar or something. You said first you didn't find it, then you did find it. Where did you find it? Since you now remember finding it yourself, where exactly did you find it?
It was inside the apartment. It lived on a table or a desk or something. And the only reason that I took it was because I just wanted to thumb through it to maybe see if she had appointments scheduled with someone in particular.
Did you take it on the 21st, or did you take it when you came back on the 22nd?
I wouldn't be able to tell you the answer to that, sir. It was one of those days.
Well, you said earlier you have independent recollection of collecting it, so.
I don't remember which day.
Well, earlier you said you didn't collect any evidence on the 21st, at least that was my understanding. So would it make sense then that, if you said you didn't search for a wallet or a purse or anything on the 21st,
Yes,
so it was probably the 22nd, correct?
again, I don't remember, sir.
Okay. And I think the initials of the person that Erica told you about was JD, not CJ. Does that help you any?
JB?
Yes. That's somebody that Paula was scared of. You remember that?
No, sir, I don't. I will have to watch the interview I did with her.
Okay. Did you, in preparation for this trial, when, if ever, did you watch those other than when the statements were originally taken?
For which witness, sir?
Let's just say Erica, for example.
I haven't watched her interview since I interviewed her. No, sir.
Okay. And what was the name you said of the person you thought lived in 204?
That's Mr. Miguel Rosales.
And he did have a key. Am I correct in that?
That's what he stated during his interview.
Did you go into why he would have a key or how he procured said key?
He said that Miss Lloyd would let him come into her apartment once. So
And did you ask him then about other people Ms. Boyd may have let into her apartment?
I would have to watch the entire interview to answer that.
Did you ask him whether or not he and Ms. Boyd had a romantic relationship?
I would have to watch the entire interview to answer that.
Are you? What about Antonio Jones?
Antonio Jones is a person that came up as possibly being involved with this cell phone video, and I can't remember if it was me or Detective Angel we interviewed. Detective Angel is currently, he's retired now. I think he may have interviewed.
Well, it wouldn't be unheard of for Miguel Rosales to have been involved with this. Did you find out whether or not Ms. Boyd was she romantic with anybody?
I don't recall finding that out.
Did you inquire about that?
I don't remember if I did, sir.
Would that be important? You know, if she had romantic relations, who she had those relationships with?
Yes, sir.
But you did. But in this case, you did not look into that.
No, no one. I don't remember anyone mentioning it.
When was it that you finally had the chance to interview David Rocha?
It was June of this year, 2021.
And did you conduct that interview?
It was conducted by Detective Tim Angel, and I asked him some follow-up questions.
What about Frank Hernandez?
I have never interviewed him in this case.
Where is Frank Hernandez?
I have no idea, sir.
What have you done to try to ascertain the location of Frank Hernandez?
Initially, when this case started, I approached him and asked him to come in for an interview because I had charged him with credit card abuse and fraudulent use of identifying information. He had an attorney, and the attorney advised him not to speak with me, and that's where it stood.
To your knowledge, is he still around anywhere?
Objection, relevance.
Response? Defense response to relevancy?
Okay. May I approach real quick?
Yes.
I just asked him this.
Response to relevancy? Is there a response to the state's objection?
I'll withdraw my question.
All right, thank you.
And I believe I misspoke when I said it was Eric, the daughter told you, which daughter told you about the PIN numbers, but it was Margarita Seeley. Is that also a daughter of Ms. Boyd?
Yes, sir.
And am I correct in saying that she is the one that told you RC had the PIN numbers for the debit cards?
Yes, I remember, I do believe I took a written statement from her. And if I could go back to your question about Antonio Jones.
Yes, sir.
In my report, Detective Tim Angel and I contacted him and he surrendered 2 phones to us because the rumor going around was that he had a phone with a video of this murder on it.
Well, did he?
The phones were searched and no videos were found.
So let's talk about searching phones. When did you take custody of the phone?
I turned them into the crime scene and asked them to do what they call a cell block.
You did. So you did cell bright on that phone?
I think so. I turned them in so they can be examined by the crime scene.
Did you do cell brights on other phones as well? Paula Boyd's phone, for example, you do certainly, when you're investigating a murder and you've got multiple people that you found, or at least according to your guide, were not above or were considered very good suspects. Wouldn't her phone be a good source of information of who she was talking to or who she was texting or that type of thing? Would you
Yes.
agree with me? Okay. And when you say cell bright, that's when you do like a phone dump, right?
It's that's what it's commonly referred to as.
Okay, and so when did you do the cell bright or the phone dump on Paula Boyd's phone to find out who she'd been talking to or who she'd been texting?
I don't remember doing one.
Really? And why is that? Is it not important who she talked to or who she texted?
I don't remember if she had a cell phone.
What other phones did you collect in this case? You take David Roach's cell phone when you finally got him?
No, sir, I don't think so.
Then why is that?
6 years after the fact, I didn't even think about asking for a phone.
What about when you were arrested, when you took RC Curtis, did you take his cell phone?
When he was arrested for the murder, he had a new cell phone in his possession, and it was handed over to me by one of the patrol officers.
And what date and time did you begin the cell bright investigation into that phone?
I didn't, sir.
But you did do a cell bright on Antonio Jones.
I do believe so, sir. My report says that he signed a consent, and it should have been submitted to the crime scene.
Can we approach Judge?
Yes.
Did you inquire with Margarita Seeley or anyone else whether or not Ms. Boyd had a cell phone?
I don't recall that, sir.
That's all I have at this time.
All right, State.
Detective. Council asked you if you had received information about people having access or knowing Ms. Paulita's PIN number. You have a lot of questions. I'd like you to look at page 4 of 32 of the prosecution guide. And from the area that starts witness file, Celia Margarita, just read that moment yourself.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so the question he asked you about who you received information for, and he identified Margarita Celia, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then with that information, did you make any, you got that information, the allegation he asked you, were you able to confirm or deny whether the defendant or he said a person, Erica, who was Erica to your knowledge?
To my knowledge, that's the defendant's wife.
Okay, and you interviewed her, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. What did your investigation reveal? Did any of them or either of them admit to having the PIN or deny having the PIN?
They do not.
That's cause for hearsay.
That'd be overruled.
Go right ahead and answer.
They denied it, sir.
So much like somebody said there's a video of the murder, you never found it. Is that do you know if it exists or not?
I don't know if it exists.
Somebody said they had the PIN. Each of them were asked directly, what did they say?
They said they did not.
Okay. Can you prove which one is lying, the sayer or the non-sayer?
No.
The gentleman who lived in 204, Mr. Rosales.
Yes, sir.
Did you find him cooperative with your investigation?
Yes, sir. He was very cooperative.
And were you able to look into and determine his whereabouts as of the day and the days surrounding your finding Miss Paulita's body?
Yes.
And based on that, what did you do with him in terms of your investigation?
I interviewed him. He provided an alibi for the time that the murder happened, and he also consented for a DNA swab.
Okay, and that alibi, were you able to confirm it?
Yes, sir.
And so you looked into it, so that means you cleared it.
Yes, sir.
JD, that is Miss Paulita's grandson.
Well, yeah, his name is John Daniel, so I just don't recall anyone referring to him as JD.
So if Erica says something about JD that counsel asked you about, you don't know who that is.
No.
Okay, but the grandson, John Nombrano, did you look into him and his whereabouts?
Yes, sir.
Did he cooperate with all of your investigation?
Yes, sir, he did.
And just like we asked about Mr. Rosales, ultimately, did you clear the victim's grandson?
Yes, he fully cooperated and he provided the DNA sample.
Now, the people that you had to kind of pressure, Donald Lee Barnett, Frank Hernandez, David Rocha, once you eventually talked to him 6 years later. What crimes could you associate them with? Could you associate any of them with the capital murder you arrested the defendant?
No.
What crimes could you associate them with?
Fraudulent use of identifying information and credit card.
And from your knowledge, as you sit here, the fraudulent use of the credit cards and identifying information, did that occur? And again, remember, showing you what's already in evidence. It states exhibit number 26. Now, this was taken in the initial investigation on the 21st, Ms. Paula Boyd's apartment. But from your investigation, all the fraudulent use of the credit cards, and at 3:09, when this picture was taken, was Miss Paulita alive or dead?
Objection, that calls for speculation.
Sustained.
Okay. When you walked into the apartment, was Miss Paulita alive or dead?
She was there.
And when the CSIs took the pictures to include states 26, was she alive or dead?
She was there.
So all the fraudulent use of credit card information, was that based on the information you found in the records you got?
Yes, sir.
Did that occur before, while she was alive or dead? Was that after 3 o'clock on the 21st?
Yes, sir.
So the only thing you can get all those other dishonest people associated with this case was credit card abuse, which occurred after she was dead.
Yes, sir.
I'm not excusing it. Clearly, that's moral turpitude and corruption. How many people did you arrest and charge with the death of Miss Paula Boyd?
One.
And who was that again? I
That's
forget.
the defendant.
I
R.C.
forget.
Thurs.
Come on, Judge. That kind of crap. I forget. You know, when he forgot who he's trying. I mean, we don't need that.
All right,
It's
everyone,
sidebar.
everyone, let's calm down. We're gonna have parties approach. All right, stay.
And finally, in relation to State's Exhibit 26, which is still published, what was the beginning of that time frame that you were looking for video at the Hebrew store? What time was that? What time was the first transaction?
The first transaction, about 3:06.
3:06, before 3:09.
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, defense.
Let's start with the fact that JD is the grandson. And according,
Objection calls for facts not in evidence.
We overruled.
and would it surprise you to know that he in fact did live with Ms. Boyd? And I got that information from the state, so I'm pretty sure. Does that surprise you?
Objection hearsay.
That'll be overruled.
Does that surprise you?
Does it surprise me that he was living with her?
Yes.
I don't recall him telling me that he lived with her.
So he was dishonest with you about that.
I don't recall him telling me that he lived with her.
Well, if
He
we
had an
know,
apartment, and I think he had his own apartment,
Right.
and he allowed me to search it, so I don't think I would assume that he lived with her if he has his own apartment.
so when the state learned he was living with you, they didn't tell you to look into that or tell you or bring you up to speed with that?
I don't remember that.
Okay. What about the name Mario Malacaras? Malacara. Mario Malacara. When did you interview him?
Is he in my reports?
I don't know. I don't see him in your report, so that's why I'm curious. I have reason to believe he's the one that had wanted to have sex with Ms. Boyd and she was scared of him. Once again, information I got from the state, did they share that with you and ask you to look into it?
I've never heard that name.
Really? And you're the lead detective on this capital murder case? Now,
Objection as to the sidebar, Your Honor.
you, a minute ago, you said you arrest, you know that David Rocha and Frank Hernandez were not involved in the murder. You said, that's, Harris asked you, was there only one person you could arrest, and did you only arrest one person? And you said yes.
Objection, Your Honor. Counsel's mischaracterizing my question previously. I asked if he developed any information on those two, Hernandez and Rocha, in regards to this investigation.
May I approach them?
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, jury, we're going to take a short break. I'm going to give you all till 2:45. You've heard some evidence in the case, but remember, don't discuss it among yourselves or with anyone else, okay? So we're going to be back at 2:45, and that'll give you guys the time to stretch a little. Just one moment. State, who is your next witness after this witness?
SAPD Detective Richardson.
Right, how long is his testimony?
Judge, he does take the first statement. In total, it's about 2 hours and 45 minutes. We don't intend on playing that much. We intend on playing about just under 40 minutes.
Okay. All right, everyone, please be seated. And state, had you passed the witness or no?
I believe I passed and then counsel
Okay,
wanted to
All right.
approach Rio.
yes. Mr. Bonk?
Nothing further, Judge.
And no further questions for this
Is
witness.
this witness subject to recall or excuse?
Absolutely recalled.
All right, the rule has been invoked. What that means, you can't speak to anyone about your testimony except for attorneys for the state and attorneys for the defense. Please make sure you're available for recall.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. State, call your next witness.
State would call Richardson.
Mr. Richardson, if you'll take your seat right here, please. Please don't touch the microphone. If you could raise your right hand for me, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you can lower your hand. If you can state your name for the record, please.
Richard Richardson?
All right, state.
Yes, sir. Where are you currently employed with the San Antonio Police Department?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Did you recently retire?
Yes, I retired on Monday.
Okay, so just this week.
Yes,
So prior to your retirement, where did you work?
I worked in the homicide unit
At which agency?
at SAP, San Antonio Police Department.
So how long were you a member of the San Antonio Police Department?
28 years.
And how long as a member of the homicide unit?
I've been in the homicide unit the last 15.
And what rank did you have in the homicide unit?
I was a detective.
Could you briefly explain to the jury, what were your duties as a homicide detective at SAPD?
We investigate suicides, homicides, suspicious deaths. That was my main duty.
And do you sometimes work as a team in the homicide unit?
Yes, we do.
Now, I want to direct your attention specifically to October the 27th of 2015. Did you assist any other homicide detective in an investigation of an R.C. Curtis?
Yes, I did.
Which detective was that?
Detective Randall Hines.
Would he have been considered the lead detective in the case?
Yes, he did.
But it was common practice for other homicide detectives to assist a lead detective if they needed it.
Yes.
And on October the 27th of 2015, how did you assist Detective Hines?
On that date, he was executing a search warrant at the home of the defendant. I assisted by going to that location with him.
Do you know if any other members of the San Antonio Police Department came along?
There were several patrolmen, of course, uniformed officers, and I believe some detectives from our road unit.
Was anybody there from the crime scene unit?
Yes, there was.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Detective, I'm going to show you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit number 155. If you could just take a moment and look at that. You recognize State's 155?
Yes.
Is that the search warrant that you assisted Detective Hines on?
Yes, it is.
What was the location of that search warrant?
5622 Evers Road,
Is that,
apartment 14.
I apologize. Is that within San Antonio, Bear County, Texas?
Yes, it is.
Now, Detective, after that search warrant was executed at that apartment on Evers Road, did you stay at the location?
No, I did not.
Where did you relocate?
I relocated back to our office at 215 South San Rosa to conduct an interview with the defendant.
And you said that you went back to conduct an interview. Who did you conduct an interview with?
With RC Curtis.
Do you see the person that you conducted that interview with in this courtroom?
Yes, I did.
If you wouldn't mind just pointing at him and just describing an article of clothing that he's wearing.
He's wearing dark clothing with a mask, and I believe it's gray and black.
Thank you. The record will reflect that you've identified the defendant in this cause. Now, you said that you went back to conduct an interview. Was that at anyone's direction?
Detective Hines requested that I assist him by starting the interview process until he can complete his duties at the search warrant.
So you remained back at the apartment on Evers at that time?
Yes.
And of course, when Mr. Curtis came back to the homicide office, if you could describe to the jury, where do interviews, where are they conducted? What type of room?
It's an interview room that is capable of video recording everything that goes on inside that room with the detectives and more witnesses.
Is that room capable of making a video and audio recording of any interviews that may take place?
Yes, it is.
Do you know if it was working properly on it?
Yes, it was.
And do you actually check it yourself?
Yes, and I viewed the video. So,
I see. And now, prior to that interview, do you gather from any individual, do you gather just a basic biographical information?
yes, we did.
Okay, did you do that in this case?
Yes, I did.
Now, prior to speaking with Mr. Curtis, did you give him his, I guess what are commonly called his rights or Miranda rights?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Did you explain to him that he had a right to remain silent?
Yes,
Did you explain to him that anything he said could or would be used against him in court of law?
yes,
Did you advise him that he had a right to an attorney?
yes,
Did you advise him that if he wanted to terminate the interview at any time, he could do so?
yes,
Did you threaten him or coerce him in any way to speak to you?
no,
Did you promise him anything to speak to you?
no,
Did he acknowledge that he understood the rights as you read them to him?
yes, he did.
Did he agree to speak to you?
Yes, he did.
Was that interview with Mr. Curtis captured on audio video?
Yes, it was.
Your Honor, my approach.
Yes.
Detective, I'm going to show you what has been previously marked in a previous hearing as State's Exhibit 3A. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
And did you actually testify in that hearing?
Yes, I do.
Is this a true and accurate copy of the statement provided by Mr. Curtis back on October the 27th of 2015?
Yes, it is.
And all of those Miranda rights that I talked about to you earlier, were they captured on this video?
Yes, it was.
Your Honor, at this time, the state will move into evidence Exhibit 3A, subject to any objection by the defense counsel.
Any objections to 3A?
We have no objections at this time, Your Honor.
All right, 3A is admitted.
Your Honor, permission to publish.
Granted.
And if you'll bear with me, I'll do my best. I'm not great
No
at
problem.
technologically, so.
And Your Honor, I don't know if, my understanding is you need to allow us to be the share host or something along those lines where we can actually.
All right, let me see where it is. Where are they listed?
I'm not sure whose email it was.
Which email are you using?
I'm sorry, Judge?
Which email are you using?
I don't think they're
That's a
logged in.
good question.
All right, that's fine.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am,
Okay, DA 187 DC.
lowercase.
D87, 187.
That's what you'll see. Your Honor, could I get the meeting ID?
Just from the Deputy Lord, did you send that to him? I'm sure.
Yeah, forget you join with audio.
Yes, you do. Not with audio, with your screen. When you do share screen, click on audio.
Yes, ma'am.
Judge, I apologize for having audio issues.
Sure. Yeah, I could.
All right, let's do that. All right, just do it from your computer, please, and put the microphone on your
Yes, ma'am.
computer so that everyone can hear.
Yes, ma'am.
I just log on to, okay, very good.
Has to be on mute.
Yes.
I apologize. My apologies. For the record, I will begin publishing State's Exhibit 3A.
Excuse me, at the table, the council's table, your microphones need to be on mute.
The computer microphone. It's your computer.
Just think that the jury's having trouble hearing.
All right, pause. Stay.
Yes, sir.
Your actual computer, the volume on that needs to be on mute for your computer.
Okay, it's on mute now, Judge.
All right, thank you.
And now we can't hear anything, Your Honor. Yeah.
This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna stop share screen. We're gonna do it the old school, old fashioned way. Is there any objection from the defense to doing it that way?
No, it's the only way I know how.
And clearly, I don't know this one.
So that's what we are going to do. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, the jury, this is what has happened in this courtroom. There was, and Brenda, we don't have to be on the record for this, there was a giant leak months ago. And it started in the district attorney's office and it rained down to the other floors. So from 6 months ago, there's been more leakage in this courtroom. So that is why all of your computers don't work where you're sitting, because the water has destroyed whatever technical equipment we have in the back. And the panel that they need to replace it is out of date. So they're trying to find a panel to replace it. So just bear with us. I appreciate your patience. Yes. All right. That one, we're not allowed to, the thing about that, this is government. We're not allowed to move certain things. So this is what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take another 10-minute break, and I'm going to come off the bench and see if I can work this, okay? So if you can have them go to the back, please.
So Judge, I believe our IT has contacted county IT, so
I
they
just
should.
texted on it.
Oh, okay.
All right, can you start the video on that smaller computer?
Yes.
Everybody.
What I'm saying is it's not gonna show her card in her hand.
It was a guy behind me. It don't show you the guy behind me?
Don't you think that sounds a little crazy though?
I don't care what it sounds like. I know it wasn't me.
Well, I mean, think about it. Your grandmother, your wife's grandmother is found dead in her apartment, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so can we
basically, what I'm saying is it doesn't add up.
Other than that, every TV had a card.
Yeah, the VCR. And then later on, CD.
Right. You touched it, you were penalty of death.
Yeah. The wrong way. Or something.
And her mom said that her ATM card was used as well.
There's like two people. Who get it. You don't want to play it.
Oh, here's my-
I went to the store, I know, her name on in my hand.
Well, I mean, if it's showing that you did, I mean, how are you gonna dispute that? There has to be a.
Show me the picture of me.
Yes.
Yes.
Come on, man, really?
Hell, that's a picture of that, you got a picture of me walking out of the store? Yeah, where's the card at? Show me the card
At
in
the
my
same
hand.
time.
Show me the card in my hand.
Yes. So you're sharing this one, right? Yes. New Hampshire town. And where we are?
We can't be unmuted.
Here's the thing, I'm
At the same time, you're standing at that, at that ATM, and that doesn't sound weird to you?
No, it's million things sound weird, like, yeah, I'm not, you know what I'm saying, I ain't worried about it. I know I didn't use that card. You show me proof that you shouldn't.
Should be on both.
YouTube can hear it, YouTube can hear it and see it.
okay. All right, we're good.
So you're good. Okay.
Well, wait a second. Let's try the sound now because I had my sound out. All right, let's try it now.
You seen me go in there and use that card?
All right, let's go to work.
Thank you, Judge.
Sure. Let's bring the jury. All right, everyone, please be seated. All right, state,
Thank you, Your Honor. Executive, I'm now going to begin the video.
All right, you ready? Just gonna go right in here and talk. See over there. You can, I just need to get some basic info from you first. Breathe for a second. All right, thanks. All right, my name is Detective Richardson.
Yes, sir.
I just need to get some basic info from you before we get started. What's your last name?
Curtis.
With a C?
Yes, sir.
One S?
Yes, sir.
Your first name?
RC. Initials RC.
RC. And that's your address there. What's the address there on?
5622 Average Road.
5622 Evers.
Mm-hmm.
And what apartment were we at?
1401.
Do you work?
No, sir.
Okay. How about a phone number you can be reached at?
210
Mm-hmm.
954 6781.
Is that a cell?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How old are you?
30.
And your date of birth?
02 07 85.
What's your social?
452 73 02 65.
You know your driver's license number?
No, sir.
And you are married?
Mm-hmm.
And your wife's name?
Erica Usos.
With a C or a K?
K.
Okay. Before you're asked any question, it is my duty as a police officer to advise you of your rights and to warn you of the consequences of waiving these rights. You have the right to remain silent. You do not have to make any statement, oral or written, to anyone. Any statement that you make will be used in evidence against you in a court of law at your trial. You have a right to have a lawyer present to advise you before or during any questioning by police officers or attorneys representing the state. You may have your own lawyer present, or if you're unable to employ a lawyer, the court will appoint a lawyer for you free of charge now or any other time. If you decide to talk with anyone, you can stop talking to them anytime you want. Above rights are continuing rights to be urged by you at any stage of the proceedings. Do you understand these rights?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You mind talking to me about what's going on? You want to know what's going on?
Yes, sir.
I'm sure you're about as surprised as we are when we came over. What I'd like to talk to you about is last week, between Tuesday, let's say Tuesday morning and Wednesday afternoon, or Wednesday night. Where were you at Tuesday? Just start at the beginning of your day as best you can remember.
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Tuesday at home already. I take my kids to school.
Okay, so Tuesday you took them to school.
I take my little boy to school, and then I drop off him at school, and I go. First, I take my wife to work, school. She goes to school at Career Car on First Bay Road.
Okay, so you drive in her car?
Yeah, I drop her car.
Okay.
I take her to school, drop off, come back, pick up my little boys, make sure they get ready and everything. Then I take them to school, and I come back to the house.
And where did you say she worked at?
She goes to school on First Bay Road.
On Fred? Do you know the name of the school?
Career Point, I think, Career College.
About what time do you drop her off?
About always before 6 o'clock in the morning, 6 a.m.
So before 6 a.m. And then you come back home,
Yes, sir.
and you get your sons ready for school. Where do they go to school and
My
what
little son
time
goes,
do you?
my little son goes to school at Kobe Glass, and he got to be at school before 7:30.
So he goes by himself? I mean, you drive him there?
Yes, sir.
And he has to be there by 7:30.
Mhm.
And do the other boys go with you, or they wait at the apartment?
No, they go with me.
They go with you? And what's your youngest son's name?
Randy Curtis.
What was it?
Randy, R-A-N.
Randy?
Randy, R-A-N-D-O-N.
Okay, Brandon. 7:30 a.m. drops Brandon off, okay? And then you go to,
Come back around, it's down the opposite side of the street, come up the street, and I take my son RC, the fourth,
mm-hmm,
and Rashawn Curtis, that's my middle son. I dropped him off at, I don't even know the name of the school, it's right there across the highway.
the middle school, right across
Yeah.
this, okay. Middle school, and that's right at Evers and 410, isn't it?
Yeah,
I don't know the name of that one either. I'm trying to remember.
it's north side something,
What time do they have to be there?
by 8:20, I think.
Okay, so 8:20 a.m. And then that's all the dropping off you do and
Yeah,
everything?
and I stay at the house,
But this, specifically what happened, or where you were last Tuesday,
Tuesday,
once you dropped them off?
dropped them off in front of the yard. I cleaned up the house, smoked a couple cigarettes outside. All the maintenance people, like, who were part of that united them, I was there all day.
Mm-hmm.
And by 12:30, before 12:30, I go pick up my wife from school. She get out at that time.
So 12:30, you picked her up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then where'd you guys go?
Moved into the house.
Came back home?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then what happened?
I wait for my son to get out of school about 3:20, 3:12. I walk down to the gate. The bus drop him off in front of the gate.
So the bus brings them home?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Bring him home.
Brings
Randy. Randy.
Randon home?
Mhm.
Okay.
And I walk down there and pick him up.
And that's at about 3:20?
Yes, sir. And we walk back up to the house. And pretty much we was home all day.
The other boys come home
Yeah, they walk
on
home
the bus,
after-
or they walk home?
They walk home after their football. My oldest son's football practice.
Okay, and so, after they got home from football practice, you guys stayed at home the rest of the night on Tuesday?
Yeah, sure.
You didn't go anywhere?
As far as I remember, we was at home all day.
Okay. What about Wednesday?
Wednesday, I did the same thing. I picked them, like, everything. Picked up, take my wife to school, come back, pick them up, take them to school, come back to the house. Same routine every day.
So on Wednesday, you don't remember going anywhere?
Wednesday, about 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock, I borrowed money from one of my friends on Wardbar Road, across from the it's apartment complex right there, but he wasn't home, so I stopped to see if I had gas on my card. Went back to the house. From the exit, went back to the house, picked up my son, walked down to the gate, picked up my son, came back. That's it. I went to my son's football game. We sat outside the fence.
Okay, so you stopped, where did you stop to get gas, or?
At yeah, I guess that new what's it called? It's like 2 stores together, convenience store,
And where's that located at?
off of Wurzbach and Huber.
Wurzbach and Heimler?
Mm-hmm.
Were you by yourself?
Yes, sir.
And you were in your wife's car?
Mm-hmm.
And that was at about 3?
Mm-hmm.
And so you went in the store
Mm-hmm.
and you checked your card?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a credit card, debit
Yeah.
card?
Unemployment card.
Huh?
Unemployment card. debit
And you can
card.
buy,
Yeah.
you can buy gas with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it like a Lone Star card, or what do they call it?
It's a Chase card.
Chase card?
Mm-hmm.
So you went in the store and checked at the ATM to see if there was money on it?
Mm-hmm. Because I get paid at 9 o'clock at night every Wednesday, but sometimes they put the money on there early.
Mm-hmm. And so there wasn't no money, so then you
So walked out.
just walked out, went back home?
Mm-hmm. Picked up my son.
Detective, I'm gonna stop the recording at 18:17:33 for purposes of the record. Did Mr. Curtis tell you that he made a stop around 3 o'clock that afternoon, the Wednesday, October 21st?
Yes, he did.
Where did he say he made that stop?
At a convenience store at Wurzbach and Eden Road.
Did he say what he did at that store?
He was checking to see if there was money on his debit card for unemployment.
Did he indicate that the card that he was checking to see if there was money on, who it belonged to?
In his statement, he said it was his unemployment card.
Did he say what bank it was connected
I
to?
believe Chase.
I will continue the video at 18:17:33.
Before he got off the bus.
Okay. And you guys were home the rest of the day Wednesday?
Went to a football game.
When you went to football game
Yeah.
Wednesday night?
Yeah.
Where at?
Right there across the street to my
At the
son's
middle
school.
Okay. So how do you know, what is the relationship between Paula Boyd and you?
That's my wife, grandma.
So that's Erica's grandma.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When was the last time you saw her?
Last time I saw her was like probably October 1st or 2nd.
So the first part of October?
Mm-hmm.
When was the last time you were at her apartment?
Probably the 1st or 2nd.
Okay. So, that last time, 1st or 2nd of October, so we're talking the 20th. Have you ever taken anything from Paula? Has she ever given you anything?
Like what you mean? Taking?
Have you ever taken anything from her? Have you ever
Nah. Like, yeah, she gave us food and stuff. Like all
just
stuff.
food and stuff?
Yeah, food and stuff.
Okay. But, no reason why you should have her any of her credit cards or any of her debit cards? No?
No, sir.
Okay. That's the store that you were going into?
Mm-hmm.
That's you right there with your Spurs hat,
Mm-hmm.
the blue shorts. Looks almost like the same ones you got on now.
Yeah.
Who was with you there, or was that just a customer?
That's the husband. Nobody.
Okay. Well, here's where our problem is, RC.
Mm-hmm.
Paula's ATM card was used
Mm-hmm.
by you to check for money in that store.
You got, no. You got proof of me using the car?
Mm-hmm.
Where?
We've got video. There's a full video of this. I'm just showing you the pictures to show you I ain't bullshitting you. We have the ATM transaction from that ATM at the same time you walk in the store. And
I want to
it's-
see the video of me
it's-
using the car then.
It's all on video.
I want to see the video because I know I didn't use the car.
Okay. Hang loose and let me see if I can get it running.
Okay.
For the record, I am stopping the video at 18:21:22. Now, Detective, it appeared that you showed Mr. Curtis some photographs during your interview with him. Where were those photographs from?
There were still photographs taken, I believe, from the surveillance video. Detective Hines had obtained.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Detective, I'm now going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 167 through 175, if you wouldn't mind taking a look at those. Thank you. And Detective, do you recognize the photographs in States 167 through 175?
Yes, I did.
Are they still shots from a video that you referenced during your interview with Mr. Curtis?
Yes.
And do they even have a timestamp on these photographs?
Yes.
Do they fairly and accurately depict the photographs that you showed him that day?
Yes, I did.
Your Honor, at this time we move into evidence exhibits 167 through 175, subject to any objection.
And I'm sorry, state, what were those numbers?
It was 167 through 175.
No objections? Okay. States exhibits 167 through 175 are admitted.
And Your Honor, I certainly don't want to cause the same technical issue I did last time. If I publish these on the OMO right now, is that going to cause an issue with the feed here?
It
It should
should.
not.
It should not. Permission to publish them.
Yes.
Thank
go
you.
ahead.
Now, Detective Richardson, I'm first going to show you States Exhibit 167. It appears it's showing up a little bit dark, at least on this screen. What is depicted here?
Looks like the front entrance of the convenience store. I believe it was on Heber Road. I'm not sure of the correct address, the exact address. But it was the convenience store where the defendant's walking in.
And these were still shots from a video that Detective Hines had collected, correct?
Correct.
And provided to you.
Correct.
Now I'm going to show you States number 168. Just it's a little hard to tell here, but a slightly brighter photograph of the same one, 167.
Yes.
Now, Detective, can you see that there is a timestamp on the bottom left in States 168?
Yes, I do.
At that time, did you know about any, if the timestamp was accurate or not?
No, I did not.
Would that be something that Detective Hines would have looked into?
Yes, it is.
Not gonna show you page 170.
This is further photos of Mr. Curtis entering the convenience store.
Yes.
And skip ahead to stage 172.
Is this a different angle than the previous photos that have been shown to you?
Yes.
And so do you know from what angle in that store that's coming from?
I do not. Like it's by the beverage aisle.
And I apologize.
Looks like it's where the coffee and the soda
I see.
is located.
I'm not gonna show you stage 173.
Which direction is Mr. Curtis headed back to stage 173?
He appears to be going towards the entry exit doors.
Now I'm gonna skip to stage 175.
What does it appear that Mr. Curtis is doing at stage 175?
Exiting the store.
Now, detective, the minute marker, just that is shown on the timestamp in stage 175, what does that show?
Or I should just say the time.
1,450 hours, 39 seconds. Yeah, I guess it would be 250 and 39 seconds.
And then I'm now gonna show you again, stage 167.
What's the time depicted there?
246 and 5 seconds.
So is there over a roughly an over 4 minute, roughly 4.5 minute difference between those times?
Yes.
Detective, when you showed those photographs to Mr. Curtis, did he acknowledge if he was the individual depicted?
Yes.
And so he said it was him.
Yes.
Now, detective, when I paused the video at 18:21:22, you had exited the room. What was the purpose of you exiting the room?
I was attempting to get my laptop computer to show the actual surveillance video that the still pictures were taken from.
Now, for the record, I'm going to skip ahead to when you return to the room. For the record, I'm restarting the video at 18:29:03. Detective, at this time, are you trying to set up the video footage?
Yes.
That's what I was doing. No.
For the record, I'm going to stop it at 18:31:51. Now, Detective, did you have trouble playing the video for Mr. Curtis?
Yes, I could not get it to operate on my laptop.
But did you continue the interview with him?
Yes, I did.
I'm going to skip just briefly to the portion of that begins. For the record, I'm restarting at 18:34:40.
What's this?
Yeah, that's the ATM balance inquiry, 855 Huebner with her card. Let's see, it has the Texas ATM ID. Okay, that's the ATM in the store.
Pause at 18:35:12. Detective, you were just showing Mr. Curtis something. Was it the ATM transaction?
There was a copy of the ATM transaction that showed someone using the victim's debit card to check the balance.
I see. I'm going to restart at 18:35:12.
To open it with a different program.
And Detective, during this time, this is when the system isn't cooperating with you, correct?
Yes.
See, so I'm not trying to, BS you or whatever. It's kind of hard to explain that you're in the same store at the same ATM with the same time as her account gets checked. You know what I mean?
Not really, cause I went to the store. I know damn well I didn't have no card with her name on in my hand.
Well, I mean, if it's showing that you did, I mean, how are you gonna dispute that? There has to be a.
Show me a picture of me with the card in my hand.
Come on, man, really?
Hell, that's a picture of that. You got a picture of me walking out of the store? Where the card at? Show me the card
At
in
the
my
same
hand.
time.
Show me the card in my hand. Show me the card in my hand.
What I'm saying is.
No, show me the card in my hand. You can say whatever you want. Show me the card in my hand.
Well, What I'm saying is it's not gonna show her a card in your hand.
It was a guy behind me. It don't show you the guy behind me?
Don't you think that sounds a little crazy though?
I don't care what it sounds like. I know it wasn't me.
Well, I mean, think about it. Your grandmother, your wife's grandmother is found dead in her apartment, right?
Yes, sir.
And the next day, you're in the same store
Okay.
that her ATM card is used in. At the same time, you're standing at that, ATM, and that doesn't sound weird to you?
No, it's a million things sound weird. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna keep on saying that. I ain't worried about it. I know I didn't use that card. You show me proof that you shouldn't even seen me go in there and use that card? I was this lady every other day for all my whole life. Like, why would I kill her?
I don't know.
Okay.
But why would you have her card?
I don't have a card. Just because you see me at the ATM, don't mean I got a card with me. And her mom said that her ATM card was used at Wells Fargo across from the gym. Now how all of a sudden it's used at a gas station where I'm at? Go out and get it.
It's a well.
Effective, I'm gonna stop at 184051. Did Mr. Curtis now try to claim that the card was used by somebody else at a different location?
Yes.
And did he say from where he received that information?
I don't recall. I believe it was a relative of the victim.
Did he indicate which card was used?
Wells Fargo card.
I'm gonna restart the video at 184051.
Wells Fargo ATM. That doesn't mean it's the Wells Fargo.
I'm saying, but all of a sudden that's at the gas station.
Well, I mean, these things don't lie.
Okay,
It comes straight from the bank,
straight from the bank. I understand.
straight from the pictures.
That had a picture of me. Nothing. Don't got no card in my hand. Don't got nothing.
Let's try this one.
184051.
At this time, are you still trying to get the video system to work?
Yes, sir.
And were you ever successful in doing so?
No.
For the record, I'm going to pause the video at 18:42:45. Detective, after being unable to start the video, do you step out of the room to retrieve something?
Yes, sir.
At this time, I'm going to skip ahead past that period and just step out of the room. For the record, I'm restarting the video at 18:56:57.
Okay, we're not gonna get it. It's not working on our computer. But anyways, you got, like I was telling you, it's hard to believe that a city this size, you're at the same ATM that her card is being used at the exact same time.
I know I didn't do it.
Didn't do what?
Well, use that card. Because her mom said, okay, the bank statement said that, right? Her mom said they took $300 out. Where's the $300 transaction?
Nobody took any money.
Okay,
I don't care what other people are saying. I'm saying what we can prove and what evidence we have.
what else evidence you got?
That is the evidence we have.
That's no evidence. They don't show you me using no card. They don't show me that with her name on it. Don't show nothing.
It does.
Where?
How does that not show? I showed you her bank account.
That don't mean nothing. You show me a bank account that said that. You don't show me on that picture with that card in my hand. You put it in that machine.
We don't have. How are you going to see a card?
Zoom in.
You can't zoom in like that. This ain't CSI, dude.
Okay, well, I don't care what you say. I know I didn't do it. I know I didn't use that card, so I don't know what else to tell you.
Well, if you didn't use it, you don't have anything to worry about,
I don't
right?
worry about nothing.
Okay. I am going to ask you for a sample of your DNA. Do you mind giving us a sample?
Sure.
For the record, I am pausing at 18:58:42. Detective, you just asked Mr. Curtis for something. What did you request?
Sample of his DNA.
And how does the San Antonio Police Department collect samples of DNA from an individual?
We take them with it's called a buccal swab, which is basically 2 Q-tips in a sealed package that we rub on the person or have that person rub the cheek to get saliva. That way there's cells with their DNA on it.
And you said that you requested this from Mr. Curtis. Did he agree to provide it?
Yes, he did.
And did he actually take like some action in showing that he was agreeing to provide?
Yes, he did.
What action was that?
He leaned forward and opened his mouth and stuff.
And did you ask for further clarification just to make sure that he was willing to do so?
Yes.
And was he willing to do so?
Yes, he did.
Your Honor, my approach.
Yes.
I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 126, the sealed envelope. There is a sticker outside of State's 126A Are you familiar with these types of stickers?
Yes, I am.
What do they show?
It shows the case number of the case you're working on, and it also has its own barcode, which differentiates it from other items that have been in that case.
So I apologize.
Once they're placed in a property.
So this is a unique barcode.
Yes, it is.
And for the record, what is the case number associated with the collection of this evidence?
15228-265-1.
And does it also have a description of the item that was collected?
Yes, it does.
Okay, and what was that?
That was Uncle Swap.
And Detective, I also see that there is also other writing on the outside of States 126A. Is any of this your writing? You recognize it?
Yeah.
And what do you recognize?
My initials with my badge number and the defendant's name, date of birth, and what the item was.
You also recognize any initials made by the defendant?
Yes, I did.
And where are those?
Those are on the right-hand side of the back.
Now, Detective, do you have a knife or any way to open States 126A?
No, I do not.
If I could ask the bailiff if you have either a knife or a pair of scissors. Thank you very much. You're okay. Okay. If you could please open States 126A in a spot that has no previous. Or that it's fine. And looking inside of States 126A, do you recognize the contents?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what are those contents?
The Q-tips, on the buckle swab.
Your Honor, at this time, the state will move into evidence 126A, subject to any objection.
Any objections?
No, Your Honor.
All right, State's Exhibit 126A is admitted.
Now, Detective, you said that there was a procedure for collecting a buccal swab from an individual. Did you explain that procedure to Mr. Curtis?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and is it depicted here on the video?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to restart the video 18:58:42.
Okay, there's two Q-tips in there. If you just you go ahead and rip that apart, take the two Q-tips out and leave it open so you can slide them back in there. And just rub them in your cheeks like you're brushing your teeth, but on your cheek. That's good. And then place them back in there. I'll have you lick that to seal it because I don't want it to be sealed. Then what I'm gonna have you do is just initial over this flap here, so when it gets to the lab, they know it hasn't been tampered with. Just across see across the line where we sealed it? There you go. All right. So you have no idea who killed this lady?
No, sir.
Did you kill her?
No, sir.
Does anybody you know kill her?
No, sir. Not I know.
Do you know who killed her?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, coming right back. Almost done.
For the record, I'm stopping the video at 190103. Now, Detective Richardson, you step out of the room at this time, correct?
Correct.
Do other detectives at San Antonio Police Department also spend some time and speak with Mr. Curtis during this interview?
Yes, they do.
Does Detective Hines do so?
Yes, it does.
Does Detective Cardenas as well?
Yes.
Now, Detective, if I could bring you back just a little bit. Mr. Curtis explained to you his daily routine in terms of dropping off his wife, dropping off his kids, correct?
Yes.
Did he indicate to you that he dropped off his children at approximately 8:20 was the last one he dropped off?
Yes.
And then had a time unaccounted for until he picked up his wife around noon?
Yes.
Now, Detective, Mr. Curtis also discussed a friend that he spoke to at the apartment on near Words Park. During that conversation, did he identify who that friend was to you?
No.
Did he later do so in the interview with Detective Cardenas?
Yes, he did.
Okay, do you remember the name he provided?
It was Lee.
And did Mr. Curtis continue to deny any involvement in the death of Alita Boyd?
Yes, he did.
Your Honor, this one passed.
All right, defense.
Detective Richardson, at this point, is that when you terminated your interrogation?
Yes, it is.
Why did you terminate your interrogation?
At that time, Detective Hines was on his way back, and it was he was the lead investigator. So at that point,
So Detective Hines could take over.
correct,
Correct.
correct.
Okay. And basically, he denied any involvement in the murder of Paula Boyd.
Correct.
Now, you asked him to take a buccal swab, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
DNA, okay. And when you do that, you didn't explain to him what a DNA sample was at all?
No, sir.
And he didn't ask
No, sir.
you, he just consented to do it.
Yes, sir.
He was cooperative with you,
Yes, he was.
probably too cooperative at times.
You could say that.
Okay. And as a detective, you're in homicide at the time, is that correct?
Yes, it was.
Okay, and you just retired?
Yes, sir.
And as a homicide detective, do you get to take classes in interrogation techniques?
Yes, you do.
And are they provided by the FBI?
The courses I took were provided through the SAPD.
By SAPD?
Yes.
Okay. Not by DPS at all?
No, sir.
Okay. And who teaches us?
They contract out to different agencies or different civilians.
And part of those techniques is you're taught basically how to get information out of a reluctant defendant, is that correct?
Yes.
And there are different things you can use, sometimes you use good cop, bad cop.
Yes, sir.
And one of the things you normally do is you don't give them a very comfortable environment to sit in. They're sitting on a kind of iron chair or whatever, is that correct?
It's the same chair I was sitting in. So I wasn't uncomfortable to me. But
Okay. And you didn't challenge his denial, did you?
no, sir.
I don't have any further questions at this time.
State,
No further questions.
all right, is this witness excused or subject to recall? Is the witness excused or subject to recall?
Just to make him available, Your Honor, if he's retired, he doesn't want to be hanging around here all morning or all afternoon.
All right, the rule has been invoked. What that means is you're not allowed to discuss your testimony with anyone. Only persons you're allowed to speak to are attorneys for the state and attorneys for the defense. Please make sure you're available for recall if necessary. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, jury, we're going to stop at this point in the trial. Is everyone okay to be back tomorrow at 9 a.m.? All right, and remember my rule. I know I keep repeating it, but I want you to remember it. Don't watch anything. Don't talk to anybody about this case. Don't talk to each other about anything that you've heard. I'll let you know when it's your time to deliberate, okay? All right, thank you all so much. Everyone rise for the jury.